Hey there, everybody. Welcome to a new Big Brother 22 All-Stars update. We have a number of things to get through here. We're going to talk about the events of tonight's eviction show. We will discuss the neighbor's house, the new twist that we have actually probably spent the last half hour trying to go through in our heads.
Yeah, we've come up with a few theories.
Yeah, we've got a few different interesting things. There was one theory that was suggested online to me on Twitter that I think is pretty interesting.
Yep.
Also, we'll give a little bit of speculation on the HoH competition. It is not over at the time of this recording. I have a bad feeling deep within my stomach as to what's going to happen.
Yeah, seeing where those puzzles were before we left, it's not looking good.
Reverse psychology, people. If we say things we don't want out loud, they won't happen. Right?
Or someone can go over and kick over somebody's puzzle.
There you go. Kevin, if you're really far behind, go kick over the puzzle. Help take one for the team. Anyway, if you guys do enjoy this video, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell for more, and support us further. Check those links in the description to the store and also our Patreon.
So we lost Ian tonight. Very strange interview. It felt kind of like Julie ran out of questions.
I think I don't know, she just didn't prepare properly, because Ian is pretty blunt and to the point. He's not somebody who's going to give a long, rambling answer on a lot of different things. Maybe it's because she never really interviewed him, because Ian won Big Brother 14.
It was interesting, the one answer he gave about sort of learning about the committee through Tyler's goodbye message, where he was like, oh, thank goodness I got, eliminated by a really smart move. Basically, he thought he was, sent out by a bunch of jokers.
It was kind of funny. I think Ian values intelligence. I think intelligence is Ian's love language. We have seen this played out.
Yes.
When he gave that goodbye message to Kaser earlier this season, he just talked about how smart Kaser was, and that was a big source of how much Ian respected him. Mm-hmm. And I think Ian is okay being evicted now that he sort of understands the circumstances that went into it. And I know there were a lot of people, and myself included at times, that was like, okay, Ian's getting a little bit too heated, too upset over the past 24 hours or so. But I always just kind of felt like that was a part of his game, where he was being so gung-ho about, oh, I'm gonna, insert curse word here, go after Kevin or whoever else. I think that was just sort of Ian in game mode trying to throw everything against the wall. And now that he is out, you're sort of seeing, okay, he's okay, he respects game, he's fine.
Yeah, and I mean, outside of that, there wasn't really a lot that we hadn't already seen through the feeds over the past few days. There was nothing really shocking. I didn't expect Nicole to throw the vote at Ian. I think a lot of us out there didn't think that she was going to go against her alliance.
There was a little bit of fun that happened before the episode, and they didn't really address it in the episode, basically, at all, where David and Davon and Kevin sort of solidified this idea that they were going to try to put, their votes out there and sort of see what could happen to a certain extent with this. Maybe they would get a pity vote. Maybe they would get a hinky vote. If nothing else, they wanted to tie it up to sort of make Dani sort of show her cards and get the blood on her hands. But then Kevin decided to go and inform Dani about some of what they were planning in advance for some reason.
Yeah, which is really crazy, because that really hurts Davon, who just saved him.
Yeah, I didn't understand. I think Kevin thought, oh, maybe this will make her inclined to want to do this or something. It's just like, Kevin, I know you want to be friends with Dani so bad. Like, you think that she is like the cool person who will be friends with the nerds, but she's not really your friend in the game. She has a larger alliance. It's one step forward with Kevin. It is like 5 steps back half of the time.
So let's talk about the HoH. So as of this recording, hasn't been determined yet, but seeing where the puzzles were before we came on here, it's looking like a Memphis win is on the horizon, guys.
It does not make me happy. This is going to be a week of turmoil if this happens.
Yeah.
It's just a situation here with these puzzles sometimes is if you have a lot of momentum with a puzzle and you're starting to get a shorter and shorter amount of pieces, you probably have a higher probability, unless, and they did not really spend a lot of time explaining this, maybe there's a bunch of dummy pieces or pieces that work in kind of multiple spots, and maybe this is more complicated than it seems, and Memphis is going to get close to the end and be like, I've got this all completely wrong, and then he's going to like kick it over.
Well, there was a lot of people that were getting close to that too, because Tyler was also kind of, on his heels sort of thing, and so was David.
David, you were kind of you were hanging in there, David, and if you've been watching these videos, a David HoH could be the cure for what ails so many of us. It is the light amidst all of the darkness of Big Brother 22. I have no idea what it would be like.
But we all need to put on our hard hats because it's probably going to be Memphis or Tyler.
But it could be David.
But it probably won't be.
It could be David. David Alexander,
Jess.
HoH. Mwah.
Yeah, I wish that it was David. The really sad thing for me is that it is just not Davon. She's not close.
No. The one thing I did want to spend a minute talking about here is the edit for Nicole, and this is something that we went into a lot earlier this week, where they did a really, I think, bad job of representing how so much of her, feeling so bad about this situation is stemming from her laughing at Memphis making fun at Ian and being asked about it, presumably, in the diary room, and all of that sort of stuff that unraveled. The edit on Nicole tonight, I for those of you who don't watch the feeds, I wanted to kind of clarify a couple of things here. So, Nicole, she did campaign for Ian. I'm not going to take that away from her because she did. But it did also kind of felt like eventually it sort of kind of just morphed into something else, where it was Nicole trying to make sure that she didn't look bad on TV for betraying Ian, and I felt like that became a little bit more of the motivation. I'm not going to sit here, though, and harp on Nicole for weeks on end for this, because if Ian's okay about everything, and Ian knows now that she was in another alliance, she did a good job, I think, with that goodbye message of just cluing him in.
But he will end up seeing what happened, and he will probably be upset about it, as he probably should be. I mean, maybe he'll take it another way. I don't know. I'm not Ian, but I can't imagine he's going to be that happy about it. But the edit tonight, I felt, actually did show a little bit of her feeling like she's betraying Ian in a lot of ways, where especially with that conversation with Cody, you could see a lot of just turmoil inside of her about this.
Yeah, I do think on some level she feels bad about it, but I also think, it is a game. She's concerned, obviously, about her place in the game, and she's concerned, I think, too much concerned about, optics and what the public think and all of that, which she really should have been concerned about beforehand. But the thing is just, I just wish Nicole sort of played more of a villainous side and just sort of owned that stuff a little bit more and sort of trying to present some sort of persona to us that's inaccurate.
She never will. That's not the persona she wants. She's always been more of she wants to be this quirky kind of like in the middle of popular and nerdy quirky Nicole. So she was not going to lean into that. She's not going to ever own her game. This is, we've watched her play multiple times.
I know. And I can't fault her as a game player. This is where she did. She kept the alliance. She didn't want to out the alliance before he was gone. I understand all of that fully. But I know we have to talk about the thing that genuinely surprised me at the end of this episode from Julie.
Yeah, so she said that there's going to be a BB legend moving into the neighbor's house as some sort of, I guess, a twist that's coming up in the game. And so at first we were like, okay, who are the legends that could possibly be moving into this house? And we did narrow it down to sort of the idea of who are legends that would be able to come back for maybe a shorter amount of time. It's not going to be Dan, it's not going to be Derek, but who else would maybe come in for a shorter amount of time that casuals would know right away and be like, oh yeah, that's a legend. So we started to kind of circle around people like Big Jeff, who is, to a lot of us feeders, is not a legend, but someone like my dad, who doesn't watch the feeds but only watches the show, would see Big Jeff right away and be like, oh yeah, I know Big Jeff, sort of thing. But then we also thought maybe someone like Rachel Riley, if it was for just a shorter amount of time, Dr. Will, he lives out here, could be him. He does sometimes come around for the jury house segments and stuff like that. But then
Okay, well, there's a lot of theories out there, and I'm gonna jump back and talk about those in just a moment. But Harmony wrote this on Twitter to me, and I think this was a really interesting idea. That what if the legend is Ian, and this is actually just going to be the jury house is the neighbor's house? Like, presumably, maybe this would make it easier on production if they just sort of had that over there, and with everything that's going on with filming restrictions and the like. I don't know if this is a setup for some sort of battle back, which I don't think they're going to do, if I'm being totally honest. I don't presume that we're going to have one this season. It's a shorter season.
Yeah, maybe it's not a battle back, but maybe there is some other sort of twist where one person in the game ends up switching spots with whoever's in the jury house, because whatever this twist is, it seems like this neighbor's house, which may be the jury's house, is a really interesting theory. That there would have to be a reason for Julie to mention anything. Like, them living next door, like, what does that do? That doesn't do anything. However, if they're next door and maybe they get to still watch the game, and there is a way to swap into the house, like, that would be very interesting to go in with all that information.
As of right now, I think the jury house theory is really fascinating. I feel like this is likely just going to be, though, the safety suite room or whatever else it is, and they're just going to frame it as this is the neighbor's house or something to that degree. And I don't know if there's a bathroom in there. I don't know. Like, I don't feel like whoever's moving in is going to be staying there. This is just where I am with it right now. And
yeah, I was thinking that it was probably going to be, because this is All Stars, that they would bring in some sort of a legend like a Dr. Will for like a 1 episode or 2 episodes to stay in this house. And that, if it was a different time, maybe they would be able to sort of try to get them to come out. Here are some beautiful prizes over here. Here's money over here. Are you willing to leave the house for, what's behind door number 1 or 2 or 3 kind of thing? And, but because of things being the way that they are right now, I don't know that they can do something like that. Because I think if it's a legend that is not part of the BB bubble, they're not going to be able to see anybody in the house. And they're probably not going to want to, because they haven't been in quarantine.
I like the idea of the chest full of money, or like you have a briefcase, like it's Deal or No Deal. It's like this
That's
thing.
right.
It actually feels like this is like a challenge from The Mole for everybody who watched The Mole like forever ago. I'm pretty sure they did the, you can leave right now and sabotage everyone else and take some of their money. I'm sure that's not what they're doing when it comes to taking their money, but maybe prizes, something else like that. I just think it's got to be somebody who is fairly local. I don't think CBS is going to want to spend the money to like fly someone in from like the other side of the country. And I am stuck on the Dr. Will thing here, because they got to know people are not thrilled with this season. They got to know that so many of us, we're not down with the Big Jeff coming back at this. If it is Big Jeff, and we'll have been hyped up for the whole week, and then Jeff comes in, some people like Big Jeff. Not so much me. I am fine not seeing Big Jeff, but I feel like it's gonna be somebody who is a big personality, somebody who I think casuals and diehard fans can agree on. And if they are offering up a prize or making a deal, doesn't it have to be someone nefarious, someone who is devious, who's got an evil mind?
Yeah, it also depends on what the prizes are, because if Dr. Will ends up going into that neighbor's house and is like, hey, Tyler, I have Angela over here. Would you like to leave the game?
What if it's Dr. Will and he's really like, what's the name of Dr. Will's product? Is it like Laser Away or something?
Oh, yeah.
What if it is like, hey, I will give you a laser away if you leave the game. We'll do the surgery right here.
I would totally take that.
Dr. Will signs up for that so fast. He will say that faster than Tyler shouted out his jewelry or whatever in his speech to everyone.
That's right.
I like the idea of this twist. I hope it is something that's interesting and shakes up the game, because if Memphis does win HOH, we're all just going to be pounding our head against the wall.
Yeah, we're just going to see Davon, Kevin, or David go. That's the way that it's going to go. And so let's all get ready for that.
The only unpredictability, I guess, would be if two of them are on the block, the third person who's not wins veto, then it's like someone has to go up. I'm sure they're just a pawn or nothing else, but
it won't matter. They just don't have the votes. That's the kind of difficult thing about where we are in the game right now, is if those three do not win HOH, one of them is going.
Okay, well, we'll turn this over to you guys out there, because we got questions. What do you think this neighbor's house could be, and what did you think about Ian's eviction tonight? Do you think he handled it pretty well? What do you think about the goodbye messages? Because if there's a battle back, Tyler exposed the committee in full to Ian.
That was so weird.
Yeah, let us know all this in the comments, and if you do like this video, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and support us further. Check those links to the store, our Patreon, and we'll see you here next time.